Welcome to Exposing the Bible podcast, where we are teaching the whole counsel of Scripture.
Welcome to Exposing the Bible podcast, where we are teaching the whole counsel of Scripture. Brad and I have been working our way through Romans, but we are taking a bit of a break from that to insert an episode here to talk about some family life changes that are coming very quickly here.
Yeah, so if you've been with us, you may have noticed that we've not been posting recently.
We've been slacking.
We have been really slacking, but we do have a good reason for slacking.
We think it's a good reason.
Yes, so in January of 2023, I accepted a call to be the senior pastor at a church in Eden, North Carolina called First Presbyterian Church. And so in February, the congregational vote went through and they accepted me as a senior pastor. And so the past few weeks, we have been behind on the podcast episodes, but our family has been preparing to move.
Yes.
Preparing to move.
It has felt like a marathon. If anybody has ever had to get a house on the market with 4 kids that live in the home and just manage to, what do they say? It's like brushing your teeth while eating Oreos. That's how it feels sometimes to get our house clean. But we've been busy doing all the things associated with moving while also closing out the ministries that we love so much here at our current church, and also beginning to build those relationships at our new church. Yeah. So it's been a busy season. There's been a lot going on. But that does beg the question, Brad. You do currently you do this podcast through Romans and through Ezekiel.
Because I have nothing better to do.
That was
layered with sarcasm.
But you do them in conjunction with classes that you teach at church. So you teach the class and then you put the information on the podcast. Obviously, with you transitioning to a new ministry role, you will not still be here doing those classes. So what does that mean for Ezekiel, for Romans moving forward? Yeah, for Romans, that's an easier answer. We don't know. It's not the fun answer, but that's the reality of it.
The quick answer is we don't know. So Lord willing, someone will be able to step up into that for Romans on Wednesday afternoon. And then for Ezekiel, a guy that I've been discipling for a year and a half, he'll take over Ezekiel. So he actually took over this week, the teaching, and then I'll do one more teaching in March, and then he'll take the class over at the end of March, which he taught this past week and went really well. I'll actually upload that probably very soon. But I'm going to assume the podcast for Exposing the Bible podcast will go silent for a little bit as we transition, which could take a month or a month and a half, depending on our house selling and us finding a house and some other details. So after that, once we get established and start teaching, we'll be able to come back to this and continue the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of this podcast was you wanted to create a place where you could make the information available so that those who were sitting in these classes were able to have that other way to interact with the material that you were doing in class. Yeah. And I do think that the reach of it has expanded beyond the people that just sit in the classroom, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah. But obviously we kind of feel like this podcast is going to have to transition with us while we transition.
Yeah, it will. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but it will certainly transition as I'll obviously be preaching every Sunday morning and doing a midweek class on Scripture. So I'll still be teaching twice a week, maybe more. I really have no clue what that looks like at this moment as we try to do the transitional pieces. But I'm positive that this will continue in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, one of the nice things about this podcast is that it is your podcast. So it's not the intellectual property of the church that we serve with. It's not associated directly with that church. Although you teach these classes within that church, this podcast is something that you yourself started and that you yourself run.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
it is able to transition into just whatever's
next.
material you'll be teaching
Yeah.
in our new church.
Whatever that looks like. So we definitely know we're not getting through Ezekiel and Romans in the next 3 weeks. There's, I want to say, close to 35 chapters left in Ezekiel, and we're not getting through that in a couple weeks in Romans. We just wrapped up in class the first 5 verses of chapter 2. So we'll upload those podcasts eventually, but we're a couple behind on that. So.
And the friend of ours that's taking over Ezekiel might work to find an online platform to make his teachings available, correct?
Yeah, we're working on that right now to get him set up with a podcast site, channel, whatever these things. I don't even know what these things are called. I don't listen to podcasts, I just have one. It's actually kind of weird, but yeah, so I'm actually working with him to create one and get some of those things off the ground. Once we know what that is, we'll be sure to release it before we leave. That way, for those that want to continue in Ezekiel, we'll have the opportunity to actually continue with him and to wrap that up in 3 to 4 years whenever he wraps up the next 35 chapters.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, we want to make that available because we do have people that are at Life Fellowship or other places that would want to continue through Ezekiel. It's a really great book, and the first 24 chapters are judgment on God's people, and then the next, I think 12 after that are judgment on the world, and then after that you get to the hope of salvation and the eschatological future. So it'll be good. He'll do a great job. He did a wonderful job this past week, so he's going to do great.
For those who listen to this podcast, what are some ways that they might be able to be praying for you or for our family as we transition?
Yeah, for our home to sell, that's a big one. And for us to find a home. I think those are the two pressing, not all of them, but the two big ones at this moment is for that. And our prayer has been, as a family every night, that God would unite and knit our hearts together with the folks at First Presbyterian Church of Eden. That's kind of been really our biggest prayer for that as we move forward, is God just putting our hearts together at this point.
Yeah, I would say we're just in a place of having our emotions just totally run the gamut, where we're really grieving because of the community and the home and the people that we love here, and also looking forward with anticipation and excitement because we know that God has led us to what is yet to come. So
yeah, I think someone asked me this past week, so how are you guys feeling with all this? And I said, just put an emotional map up on the wall, throw a dart, and I guarantee you're going to hit it. They're all over the place.
I have to be honest that I've had such conflicted feelings about that question over the last few years of our lives, because we've gone through some really, really tough stuff over the last few years. We've also seen a lot of amazing things happen and seen a lot of fruit and excitement happen. And so I have to say, it's felt like a few years now, somebody will say to me, like, so how are you feeling? How are you doing? And I'm like, I don't even know how to answer that question anymore. I
know I'm getting the answer, but I don't know how to process that question.
I do this weird, like, shoulder shrug, and I just kind of shake my head
good,
back
awkward
and forth,
shoulder
like,
shrug. And you don't know ever what to do with your hands, and that's just my problem.
It's good stuff, and that's ultimately we just see God's hand at work, and we know it's good.
Yeah, we talked our kids through this as the bittersweet of leaving. It's sweet because God's calling us to something, but it's bitter because we're leaving a church family that's become our spiritual family over the course of 6 years. And we've told them that if we didn't feel this way, that would be a problem.
Yeah, if we announced to everybody that we're leaving and everyone was like, oh yeah, okay, like that would
be an
way
issue.
Worse.
That would be really bad. So the fact that a lot of you all that listened to this that we know feel the same, the happiness and the sadness, it's where we're all at. And the reality is, if our family would not have felt that way, we've done really bad ministry for 6 years. So I think that.
So the fact that it hurts
is good.
Is a good thing.
Yeah. Doesn't always feel good, but it is good. Yeah. So, yeah, we will eventually upload Romans, the rest of chapter 1 and chapter 2. I think that I will end Romans on Romans 2, verse 16.
Okay.
So 14 chapters just left hanging at this point.
For now.
For now.
Never know.
You'll never know. I'm not starting Romans where we go. It's so massive
Yeah.
and deep and rich. And it is, I think when John Piper started Romans, it took him 8.5 years to get through number 1. But when he started it, his introduction to it was, you're looking at Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
It's the height of theology in the New Testament. So
Yeah.
it's a very difficult but rich book to get through. So, yeah, we are excited. We're sad. But Lord willing, one day over the next month or two, we will come back to this podcast, revive it, and work through whatever book we're going through at that point. So we are thankful you all are listening. For those that are not currently a part of Life Fellowship that we've been through, as Kristen said, it's been a surprising surprise. That's not, you can't do that.
A surprising surprise.
Oh, that's so bad. Where is one of our kids with synonyms? Because I don't do those well.
Yeah.
It's a surprising surprise that you're listening.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I don't even care anymore. So we're thankful for that. We're thankful that you've been listening, and we hope this has been enriching to you over the past almost 1.5 years now that we've been started with Hebrews. So we're thankful you're listening. God bless.